If you look closely at the skyline of a modern city, you can almost see the thinning of the fabric. It is a subtle sensation, like the feeling of a limb falling asleep, a quiet pins and needles sensation in the collective consciousness. We have spent centuries convinced that the world is made of heavy things. We built our lives around the weight of stone, the scent of paper, and the tangible friction of iron. But something has changed. The gravity of the world has shifted. It no longer pulls toward the earth. It pulls toward the logic. We are living through the great migration not of people but of value itself. For thousands of years, wealth was a map. It was a piece of land you could walk upon or a vault of gold you could touch. It was physical sovereignty. If you held the high ground, you held the power. But the high ground is dissolving. We are watching the reindexing of everything we have ever valued into a new, invisible architecture. It is the sovereign pivot. It is the moment where the power to define reality moves from the hands of men into the cold, indifferent beauty of code. Think about the way a bank vault feels. The thick steel, the timed locks, the heavy silence of the underground. These were the monuments of the old world. They were symbols of a promise that wealth was something that could be guarded by walls. But walls are becoming irrelevant. In a world of pure information, a wall is just a delay. True security no longer comes from the strength of the material. It comes from the complexity of the math. We are moving from a world governed by permission to a world governed by proof. In the old world, you had to ask for your own money. You had to prove your identity to a stranger behind a desk. You were a guest in their system. But code does not care who you are. It only cares if your math is correct. It is a shift from the subjective to the objective. It is a pivot away from the whims of the sovereign state toward the absolute certainty of the algorithm. This is not just a change in technology. It is a change in the very nature of trust. We used to trust in the integrity of institutions. We trusted in the flag, the seal, and the signature. But institutions are made of people, and people are fragile. They are prone to fear, greed, and the slow rot of bureaucracy. The code, however, is crystalline. It does not sleep. It does not have an agenda. It simply executes. When wealth indexes to code, it becomes a form of energy that cannot be captured. It becomes a ghost in the machine that can travel across borders at the speed of light, invisible to the eyes of those who still believe in maps. We see the struggle everywhere, even if we do not recognize it for what it is. Governments are trying to build digital cages for a kind of value that was born to be free. They are trying to apply the logic of the printing press to the logic of the network. It is like trying to catch the wind with a net. They do not realize that the very concept of a border is becoming a legacy feature. In the new landscape, the only border that matters is the one between those who understand the code and those who are ruled by it. This is where the realization begins to sink in. It is a cold thought, one that lingers at the back of the mind. If wealth is no longer tied to the physical world, then what happens to the people who are? If the most valuable assets on the planet are living in a non-space, a digital ether that exists everywhere and nowhere, then the state loses its leverage. The social contract was always based on the idea that you could be found. You could be taxed, you could be conscripted, you could be controlled because you occupied a specific coordinate on a map. But if your life, your labor, and your legacy are indexed to code, you become a sovereign entity of one. You are no longer a citizen of a country. You are a node in a network. And yet, there is a darkness to this freedom. When we move our value into the code, we are trusting something that does not have a heart. We are trading the messy, human unpredictability of the town square for the sterile, mathematical perfection of the ledger. We are becoming part of a system that does not need us to survive. The code will continue to run long after we are gone. It will continue to verify transactions, to secure data, and to maintain its own internal logic without ever needing a human breath to sustain it. We are the architects of a world that is slowly making us obsolete. We are building the infrastructure of a future where humans are just the inputs for a more efficient process. We look at our screens and we see a tool. We think we are the ones using it. But perhaps the screen is the window, and we are the ones being watched. Perhaps the pivot isn't just about wealth. Perhaps it is about the very essence of what it means to be a participant in reality. We are witnessing the birth of a new kind of physics, one where the rules are written in syntax rather than stone. It is a world of total transparency and total anonymity. A world where you can be anyone, provided you have the right key. But what happens to the person who loses their key? In the old world, you could find your way home. In the new world, if you lose your place in the code, you cease to exist in any way that matters to the system. There is no appeal. There is no mercy. There is only the error message. The lights of the city are still there. The buildings still stand. The cars still move through the streets. But they feel different now. They feel like a stage set that hasn't been taken down yet. The real action is happening somewhere else. It is happening in the silent pulses of fiber optic cables. It is happening in the heat of server farms buried deep under the earth. It is happening in the minds of people who have realized that the old world is a sinking ship. They are moving their treasures to the lifeboats of the digital realm. They are preparing for a world where the physical is just a hobby, a secondary layer of experience. I look at the glass of water on my desk. It is clear, heavy, and real. I can feel the coldness of the surface. It is a reminder of the world I was born into, a world of senses and physical consequences. But even this glass is being indexed. Its supply chain, its carbon footprint, its very existence is mirrored in a database somewhere. It is being shadowed by its digital twin. Everything is being pulled into the gravity of the code. We are the last generation to remember what it was like to be unindexed. We are the last ones to know the freedom of being invisible. Soon, everything will be accounted for. Every movement, every transaction, every thought will be a line of data in a ledger that never forgets. We are trading our privacy for precision. We are trading our chaos for a perfect, unyielding order. It is a quiet transition. There are no sirens, no declarations of war. Just the slow, steady hum of the processors. The pivot is almost complete. The wealth of the world has found its new home. It is safe, it is liquid, and it is entirely indifferent to us. We have built a cathedral of logic, and now we are finding our places in the pews, waiting to see what kind of God we have summoned. If your entire identity, your history, and your future were reduced to a single string of characters, and that string was deleted tomorrow, would there be anything left of you that the world would recognize?